The former chief financial officer of the Trump Organization is expected to plead guilty to perjury charges on Monday related to testimony he gave in a civil investigation into the real estate company's finances, a person familiar with the investigation said. Allen Weisselberg, the former longtime confidant of Donald Trump, arrived at the Manhattan District Attorney's office early Monday morning. He is expected to enter his plea later in the day. Weisselberg declined to comment. Seth Rosenberg, an attorney for Weisselberg, also declined to comment. Weisselberg has been in plea talks with Manhattan prosecutors for several weeks relating to his testimony taken during the New York Attorney General's civil investigation into the former president in 2020 and when he testified last year, several people familiar with the investigation said. The exact charges he will plead guilty to are not clear. As part of the plea talks, Weisselberg is not expected to turn on Trump and will not testify against him at the criminal trial scheduled to start later this year, the people said. Trump is indicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records to cover up a hush money payment and reimbursement before the 2016 presidential election. Weisselberg was central to the financial dealings, but neither prosecutors nor Trump's attorneys said they plan to call him as a witness. Trump has pleaded not guilty to the charges. It will be the second guilty plea by Weisselberg, who in 2022 pleaded guilty to 15 counts of tax fraud and testified in the trial of 2 Trump Org entities. Weisselberg was credited with giving truthful testimony, and the entities were convicted and fined. The judge sentenced Weisselberg to 5 months in jail and supervised release. He served about 100 days in Rikers Island Jail. The latest charges are a blow personally for Weisselberg, who is in his late 70s with medical issues. Last month, the New York State judge overseeing the Attorney General's civil case found Weisselberg liable for fraud and ordered him to pay $1 million plus interest, roughly half of the $2 million severance he received from the Trump Org. Representative Jamie Raskin railed against the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to take up Donald Trump's argument that he is immune from prosecution for actions he took while president, urging the court to move rapidly on a decision. This was an obvious case not to take up, and just let the D.C. Circuit Court ruling stand, Raskin said Sunday during an interview on MSNBC's Inside with Jen Psaki. The D.C. Circuit Court's decision, Raskin said, was completely exhaustive and totally compelling, and Trump's claims that a president could commit crimes with impunity while in office is utterly antithetical to everything that we know about our Constitution. If they really wanted to pronounce on his complete banality, this totally obvious point, they could have taken it up in December and sent it back a day or two later. They're going to hear it on April 22nd. I hope we get a decision by April 23rd or 24, because as we saw in Bush versus Gore, they can move at Josh Hawley-type speeds when they want to get something done, Raskin said in reference to the ruling that settled the 2000 presidential election and seemingly the speed with which Hawley darted through the Capitol during the January 6th insurrection. Raskin also claimed that political motivations may be guiding the justices on the Supreme Court, 3 of whom were appointed by Trump. Do you look at this court and say some of these justices want to delay these trials? Psaki asked. Well, yeah. If you don't believe that you're too innocent to be let out of the house by yourself at this point, Raskin said. This is a court driven by the both Trump nominees and Bush nominees, and neither of those guys was elected with the popular vote. So we've got a Supreme Court that is representing the choices of minority presidents, and they have been driving very hard to overturn a whole series of precedents that America has come to take for granted, like Roe versus Wade, Raskin added. We don't have a king here. We had a revolution against a king, and the Constitution is written so that the president's main job is to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, not faithfully violated in his own interest, Raskin said. The decision by the court on Wednesday is expected to delay Trump's federal trial for seeking to subvert the 2020 election for several more months while the justices consider the immunity claim. The court set an expedited schedule to hear the immunity issue, with oral arguments to be set during the week of April 22nd. Proceedings in the trial court will remain frozen at least until then. The move is a setback for special counsel Jack Smith, who has been pushing to bring Trump to trial this year ahead of November's presidential election. But both he and Psaki argued that the Supreme Court could have moved faster at several points in the process.